My name is Laura Ketchledge, and in April of 1979, I thought I was just going horseback riding. No big deal, just a quiet day out in the country. But that ride ended with me dead, literally out of my body. And what I saw on the other side blew every belief I had wide open. I was 17, living on my own, thinking I had my whole life ahead of me. One second, I was flying across a field in Centerville, Virginia. The next, I was being launched into the air, and I never hit the ground. Because instead of impact, I fell into a dark, velvet tunnel. Met my dead grandfather, lived through every moment I'd ever caused pain or kindness, and stood face to face with souls that were somehow all me. This wasn't heaven. It was something way beyond that. I was working at a nightclub, had my first apartment. I was free, I was young, and I felt like life was just starting to open up for me. So one day, I decided to go riding. I used to take lessons in Centerville, and on this beautiful sunny April afternoon, I rented a horse for a couple of hours. Just me, the fresh air, and the open field. It felt perfect, until it wasn't. I ended up racing two guys I met on the trail. My horse went from a light canter to an all-out hand gallop. Fast, too fast. The terrain got rough, and before I knew it, I felt this deep, rolling dread hit me. I knew I was about to be thrown, and I was. But here's the thing, I never hit the ground. Mid-air, something wild happened. I left my body, gone. I was suddenly floating through this black tunnel with walls that felt like velvet, like soft fabric, but solid. It was totally dark, but not scary. It was quiet, still, and I wasn't hurting. I felt calm. What I didn't realize in that moment was that I'd been thrown face first into a ditch, into rocks. I should have died instantly, head trauma, broken bones. But instead, I was in this other place, like another layer of reality peeled open, and I slipped right through. There was no time in that place. Time just didn't exist. It's like on Earth, you're constantly watching the clock, feeling minutes, hours, but there, I was just present. Everything was happening at once, but it all made sense. No clocks, no waiting. And then, I saw him, my grandfather. He died from cancer when I was 12. It was awful, the kind of death you don't forget. But here he was standing in front of me, just like I remembered him. Not young and glowing like in the movies. No, he looked exactly how I knew him. Older, kind, gentle. The love? Still there. Strong as ever. He didn't say much, but he was there to comfort me. I could sense there were other beings behind him, others I couldn't quite see, like they were on a different frequency, almost like trying to hear a song playing in another room. You know it's there, but you can't quite catch the lyrics. Now, before I could even process what was happening, it hit me. I was dead. That realization came like a slap. A flood of emotions ran through me. Fear, grief, loss. I thought, wait, I just lost everything. My life, my body, my identity. But then it shifted again. I went into something people talk about but hardly understand. The life review. You might think it's some movie reel of your greatest hits, but no, it was intense. You don't just see your life, you feel it. Everything you did to others, you feel that too. If you were rude to someone, you feel their hurt. If you were kind, you feel their joy. There was no judgment, no booming voice declaring me guilty. I was my own judge. And let me tell you, humans are harsh on themselves. I went through every moment from childhood up until that exact day. It was sad, stressful, even gut-wrenching. And it made me realize how we treat people. It matters. Everything matters. I saw moments I was proud of, like helping a girl who was bullied, or returning a lost cat to a little girl. Those small things, They were huge in that place, enormous. The worst things? When I caused pain or interfered with someone's path. Let me say this clearly. The worst thing you can do is damage an innocent person's destiny, period. And right when I thought that was the end of the road, things got even stranger. I was pulled into what I can only call a sea of souls. It wasn't heaven, not the way most people describe it. There was no sun, but there was light everywhere. Music floated through the air like waves, gentle, classical melodies that felt alive. I wasn't alone, I was surrounded. Here's the shocking part. Those souls, they were all parts of me, different personalities, versions of me from other lives. I didn't used to believe in reincarnation, but when I was in that place, I knew, I could feel it. Each soul carried a memory, an emotion, something ancient but familiar. That place wasn't heaven, it was source. It felt like home, pure love, but I couldn't stay. I was yanked back to another dimension, this one mauve, light, soft. My grandfather reappeared. He looked sad. I think he wanted me to go back, but he didn't say it outright. There was no big speech, just a knowing. It was time. And then, this woman appeared, blonde hair. She told me flat out, this life is going to be hard, very hard. She didn't sugarcoat it, and honestly, she was right. As I stood there, I felt something awful happening. My memories, insights, and epiphanies were being taken away, like they were getting erased, stripped away before I could carry them back. I remember panicking. I begged to keep them, but nope, they were gone. All I was left with were fragments. Then, like being sucked backwards through a tunnel, swoosh, I was back. And this time, I hit the ground. I woke up in pain, surrounded by people. The two men I'd raced were there. They had saved my life. There was a car ready to take me to the hospital. I was bruised all over, nose broken, finger mangled. Concussion so bad I could barely stay conscious. On the way to the hospital, I passed out again. Not an out-of-body experience this time, just unconscious. When I finally woke up and tried to tell the doctor what had happened, he looked at me with disgust, arms folded, completely dismissive. "What drugs have you taken?" That's what he said. Not "are you okay?" or "tell me what you experienced." No, he accused me. My mom had to step in. She said, if she took drugs, she'd tell you. Admit her, she's had a serious head injury. But the damage was done. I was humiliated. I shut down. How could I share what I'd seen after that? Who would believe me? I stayed silent, but inside, there was this urgency. Like I had hours, maybe minutes, to tell everyone I loved them. My boyfriend, my grandmother, my mom. I needed to tell them that life mattered, that love mattered, that everything we do matters. I ended up telling my grandmother about seeing my grandfather. She didn't hesitate. She believed me. She said, "My mother had the gift. I think it passed through you." That's when I learned my great-grandmother was a healer. People came to her when they were sick. She once saved her own child from a fatal bee sting by placing her hand on him. So maybe this thing runs in the bloodline. But the real change, that came after. I wasn't the same. I couldn't be. I started seeing things, people, spirits, departed loved ones. Call it psychic, call it what you want, but it was real. I could feel things now, see things. My values flipped completely. I didn't care about status or money or getting ahead. I cared about how I treated people. I cared about love, kindness, integrity. I started to understand that we're not really from here. We're just tourists in physical reality. We visit, we learn, then we go home. And that blonde woman, she was right. Shortly after the accident, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. My life since then has been tough. lots of medical battles, near-death situations again. But now, I don't fear death. Not at all. I've been there. I know what's waiting. And I'll say this, the afterlife isn't just real. It's magnificent. We think life is about climbing ladders, proving our worth, being important. But no, it's about love. It's about how you make others feel. It's about whether you protect people or tear them down. It's about whether you helped someone or ruined their path. So if you're listening to this right now, let me leave you with the one thing I know without a doubt. You will be held accountable, not by some angry God, but by yourself. And the smallest act of kindness, it might be the greatest thing you ever do.